I'm Camille Mortimer. I'm from Project Foundry, and I'm one of the organizers for 1 Million Cups. Brian from Little Studio is also one of our organizers and does the videoing each week, and it goes up onto the 1 Million Cups website for Milwaukee, right? And so this is something new that we're doing. So we hope the small crowd isn't because people are staying home to watch your videos and not having to come out. We are blessed to have sponsors. Jake Price is our coffee sponsor, One Page Accounting, and he provides coffee for us each week. And Jake is here somewhere. I don't know why he's not in this room, but he's here this morning. So we thank him, and we thank Brian's support from Little Studios, and Nation Consulting picks up our coffee each week and brings it here. So we're thankful for their sponsorship as well. We are off for 2 weeks, but for the next 2 weeks we're going to have Million Cups, and then 2 weeks off until the new year. So the week before Christmas and the week before New Year's, we will not be having 1 Million Cups, just for attendance reasons. People tend to be traveling or home. So today we have the pleasure of having Newaukee here, and Jeremy Foyette.
Perfect.
Thank you. All right, I've been working on it. Is here. He's a founder, and he's going to tell us about what Newaukee does, and they have an interesting business model.
Excellent.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you guys for having me. I just am curious in the room who has been to a Newaukee program in the city. Half of us. Perfect. So I think it's important whenever talking about Newaukee that you talk about how it started, where it's going, and obviously the number one question I get is, how do you make money? So we started 6 years ago as a young professional group in the city of Milwaukee. Did a bunch of research. We were meeting every Thursday. We were getting a lot of people to come together, and did a whole bunch of research on young professional groups and what they actually do for cities, and we found out they actually don't do anything. They're kind of irrelevant. They don't do much for the city. They have a social, they have a speaker series, but how do you impact a city, and what can you do to really do something meaningful? So we wanted to go beyond this social experiment, and how do we create place in the city of Milwaukee? So we were asked by the Lakeshore State Park, so the island out by Summerfest, to do a program, a fundraiser for the Lakeshore State Park. And at this time, we were going to a new bar every other Thursday, a couple hundred people, just networking, meeting each other. We finally got to Lakeshore State Park, and we're going to have 200 people out here. We're going to get a musician. We're going to have a little bonfire on the beach. It's going to be great. It's going to be a fundraiser. And 3,000 people showed up to the actual program. And we had one bathroom. We had no food. We had barely any power. There was one light on the island. Didn't realize it was completely dark. And this is 6 years ago. And we found out, wow, we have something here. What is it? So at the time, myself and Angela, business partner back there, were actually, oops, someone just fell back there. So at the time, we all had other jobs. We were in different careers, and Angela said to me, we either have to leave or quit our jobs, or we have to actually figure out a business model. So we all quit our jobs. Are we going to stop doing this? But we had the world's worst business model. It was free subscriptions and free events. How do you make money off that, right? So we started coming up with, or what we were uncovering when we were doing a lot of research around the country was talent. How do you engage it? How do you attract it? How do you retain it? How do you make plays? How do people come to the city? How do people create corporate culture within companies? So we started working with companies and with the city on many different projects. What we heard at the beginning of this was, we've tried this before, or we've always done it this way. This is what cities tell us all the time. This is what companies tell us all the time. We've always done it this way, so we do the same. We're complacent. We tried something like that, it didn't work, so failure was accepted. We already checked that box. Let's start a task force. The task force started a committee started a survey, and the survey said, have another task force, hire consultants. And we're like, we can't. What the heck is this? And then we heard a lot of, we don't have a budget for talent, attraction, or engagement, or retention. So our values became always challenging the status quo. They became, how do we empower our community to think bold and think different? How do we talk less and do more? And then how do we create things that matter for our city? So in 6 short years, this is Wisconsin Avenue right down the street. We have grown substantially. And we created this program for what was called the West Wisconsin Avenue Task Force when they said, hey, we want someone to do something. So they hired us and we created something called the night market. At the time, I was told that it wasn't safe because we did a lot of surveys about perception of Wisconsin Avenue and it wasn't safe to come downtown. They wouldn't bring their families there. Retail didn't work because the Grand Avenue Mall is dead. And no one would come down here after 5 o'clock. Well, this is about 10 to 15,000 people on a Wednesday night. It's a great program, and it defied everything that people said it wouldn't do. We've grown from 100 people that first were involved in the organization to 202,000 digital subscribers to what we do through newsletters and social media. We've created $1 million of economic development for small business and creatives over the course of 6 years. We've created 100 experiences from the community. I'm going to talk about that. 100 experiences for communities and companies around the state. And I think we're starting to change, and we're starting to see, we're changing the culture in Milwaukee from no to how do we get this stuff done. And what we've really uncovered is developed a proven model for talent attraction and retention with some of our partners in the city. So how do we do that? How we get paid is we create signature experiences. So one of the things we learned early on is we don't do events. Events are something you go to and something you leave and you have no experience at. An experience is something you share with your friends, you can't miss, you have to go to, you have to talk about, you have to take an Instagram of, you have to share it on Snapchat, you have to share the experience. So we get commissioned to create signature experience to attract talent to companies, our cities. We get commissioned to create experiences to retain people within their company. We get commissioned to engage people within their company or their community. We get commissioned to plan, strategic planning for them. We get commissioned to do workshops, and a lot of times we get commissioned to do community transformation projects. And I can talk about a few of those. But I'm going to tell you how we do it. We take the 7-20-10 learning model. 70% of what you learn in the world comes from an experience you've had. So why not keep creating experiences? 20% is generally what other people tell you, and 10% is from academia. And this is how people learn. They learn through their experiences like today. They learn through their experiences when they go to a night market. They learn from the experience when they have a company offsite retreat. All these experiences you have when you go to a restaurant, or you learn from what you're doing as opposed to learn from reading. So we take this model into what we do, and we call it a place-based engagement strategy. And we do this for every business, every company, every community, and even with the state of Wisconsin, what we're working for. And there's a 10-step thing to creating a signature experience we do for people. So what we originally did in Milwaukee here was, what do we have? And we call this asset mapping. We asset mapped the entire city, and we found out what are the environments that people like to go to, what's the history of the city that people want to go inside, what are the stories of entrepreneurship that we can share to our membership base, our subscriber base, what are the things that we can provide special access to before anybody else can, how can you get beyond the facade of some of the buildings you never go into, or the buildings you never know about, the companies you never get inside access to. What are the unique spaces in Milwaukee that you want to build an experience around? And what are some of the community challenges? So everything we do, we asset map the entire city, and we build experiences around these things. Because people love place. The number one thing that we do is we build programming around the places. So, and I'll give you a really quick example. We created something called the Empty Storefronts Conference. We were getting calls from a lot of the business improvement districts around the city that were asking us, what do we do with all our storefronts? And instead of having a program in the Hilton conference room where there's no windows and there's no walls and we're talking about empty storefronts, what if we could create a conference where we're actually in all the empty storefronts around the community? So we created this conference. We brought in 25 international speakers, and then a lot of local people. We actually moved the conference around the city in empty storefronts in different neighborhoods. 4 of the 6 storefronts are now filled, and we had a lot of success. So every single state came to the website that week, except Arkansas, because they don't have internet. And then a lot of countries came to the website, and we had a lot of national attention on this. We've been contacted by Toronto, by the Netherlands, and by a lot of other cities that want to take this conference and bring it to them. We had people say, I've been to over 50 conferences a year, and it's one of the most innovative and useful conferences I've ever attended. And so it gave you a connection to place. And we think with that connection to place is why people stay in communities, because they're connected to their local entrepreneurs, our businesses, our creatives. So that's the Empty Storefront Conference, and that was about empty space. So places you would never go into, but how do you connect people to places they've never gone? So actually, a lot of these brokers that came to this conference were from all around. We went all around the city. We didn't go stay downtown. We were in the Burleigh Street corridor. We were in Silver City neighborhood, and we were getting people in the places they would never go to. So we also do a lot of programming around what's new. And we think important issues, new development, entrepreneurship, place, and performances, anything that's new, we try to incorporate into our program. When a new building opens, how can we be the first ones in there and connect people to that new discovery? This is the Avalon Theater. We threw a social program in there when it first opened. We had over 500 people come here and connect to this new discovery in their neighborhood and how someone, an entrepreneur, came in and revitalized it. We work with over 400 different organizations a year. And sorry, I'm going really fast because I know I only have 10 minutes, but we work with over 400 different organizations a year, and how we work together and collaborate with them is very important to us. We know we're not the experts in everything, so we try to find the experts in that specific segment we are working at the time. We work on how we shape and can create our city and move it forward. A perfect example of this is called the Turnovation. And you might think, well, what's Turnovation mean? And I always like to do a lot of wordplay. Turnovation just means Tournament of Innovative Ideas. It's basically a crowdsourced idea generation platform that addresses specific challenges. In 2013, the mayor came to us and said, we have a lot of foreclosures in the city. What can we do to solve them? We gave the Turnovation model to him. We had over 100 some ideas come in, and now the mayor's homegrown initiative is an idea so 10 ideas got selected. They pitched on stage at City Hall, and one idea came to life, and that's the homegrown project now. And the mayor's been doing that since 2013, which takes urban ag and some of the foreclosed homes they tear down and puts urban agriculture in that area. In 2014, we were commissioned, we did Turnovation around West Wisconsin Avenue. That's where the night market came out of. And just this year, in 2015, it was around public health, and we had 2 software ideas that the Doman Company is going to build and gift to some nonprofits that will cover this. So there's a really good-looking guy right here I want to point out there. But this is City Hall on a Tuesday night, and people coming to impact their city. They're not coming for a real big show event. They're interested in change and how we can move our city forward. We measure a lot of specific goals. It depends on what our client wants. So again, we get commissioned by people to do programs. So some people want to have just overall attendance, some people want impressions, some people want to measure talent retention or attraction over a certain period of time. So we will measure, every goal we measure is specific to what our client needs. But our biggest thing is a return on community. If you're investing in something, it's not just about return on investment, it's about return on community, and that's where all of our programming comes in. We do 182 programs a year around the city. We like to think big first and say no later. The original night market actually was supposed to be 16 city blocks, where each block was a campground, and you were going to sleep on the street, and you were going to have your grill, and you were going to bring it down there. We're like, well, what the hell are we thinking? That was really not going to work. And it kind of came down into an idea that worked, but we didn't say no, and we pushed it as far as we could, because we will accept failure. This is a picture of the Make Market DJs on the street. Because we allow a lot of room for mistakes. We set everything up as a pilot program. We look at every program we do as a small, or as kind of a startup in its own right. The first year we do a program, we don't even know if it's going to work, but we don't care. We don't care if it fails. So we do it. If it doesn't work, we scrap it. If it works, we invest heavily the second year. And in the third year, we try to reap the benefits from it. Because I'm not scared of any failure or have it been a complete disaster. It doesn't matter to me. I just want to keep trying to push things forward and agendas forward. This is what we spend the most time on, is what will people talk about when they come to a Newaukee experience. Probably that there's a long line for the bathroom or the bar. That's generally one of them. But one of the things that we want to focus on is what are they going to leave sharing? And again, this comes back to experiences. If you're talking about an event, this is important because you come to an event and you leave it. But if you're talking about an experience, which we know experiences you learn from, we know experiences that connect you to place, this is the most important thing we spend time on. And we think it's all about the story. Sometimes the story can be a space they've never been to, information that inspires, things that people will interact with, things that people take pictures of and share, and things that people connect to each other. And then step 9, we have a budget for creatives. We always pay our artists. We never ask them to do anything for free. Every time we do a program, there's a budget for artists, just like there's a budget for marketing, just like there's a budget for lighting or any type of sound or AV. We have a budget for creatives. And our last thing is every single program we do focuses on social experiences and how people connect to each other and meet new people. And that's probably one of the things that you'll see at every one of our programs is how people connect to each other. So I tried to do that in 10 minutes. But here's State Young Professional Week. I did want to have one thing. So this focuses on Young Professional Week. We started 4 years ago. This will be the 5th year. Is that correct? 5th year, yeah. 5th year. We started a statewide town attraction initiative with the Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation. We started here in Milwaukee. They approached us and said, how do we create this across the state? So last year we did a statewide Young Professional Week. Here there was 34 events in 34 different locations in 1 week. Last year there was 100 events across the state. This year there was 8 cities. This year there'll be about 12, hopefully 15 cities, all doing program at the same time, saying what it means to be a young professional in my city. And the really neat thing about this is we had just as much web traffic as the Empty Storefronts Conference, even more. There was 1.4 million people that came to the website uniquely in 1 week. So there's people coming to say what it means to live in Wisconsin, and it kind of puts us on the map in a different way than just beer, brats, and cheese. So that's my speech, and I'll take any questions.
Wow. The only thing that I knew about it was the party that you guys had, obviously, on the island.
Yeah.
I never knew that it was more than that, honestly. And so I'm thrilled that I was here. This is cool.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, a lot of times people see what's forward-facing, right? They see what the experiences that we create for the general public. What they don't see is all the behind-the-scenes building of people that connect to each other, the initiatives that we start. So there's a lot more that goes into it. We do have a smaller staff, but we are, we're go ahead.
So why don't you talk a little bit about your business model? I thought for sure you were a nonprofit.
Oh yeah, sorry. We are a for-profit. We are not a nonprofit. We believe these strategies can't be solved by a nonprofit model. We believe that it needs more investment than a donation that is generally given. We think that if we have to work on projects that need tangible outcomes, and we work a lot in that field of for-profit projects to make those happen, so everybody, they pay for a service, basically. That's why we went to this model. And sometimes it's just a consumer that wants to get their product out there, and we'll build an experience for that. Most of the time, it's employers that want to be known as an employee destination workplace. And then a lot of times it also revolves around how do we do specific programming for the people inside a company, whether it's Northwestern Mutual or healthcare, big employers like that, or small employers, smaller employers like Penrod Software, which I'm sure some of you know.
Jim, can I say something?
Yeah.
In 2016, our goal is to apply to become a B Corp because we believe that, corporations pay for specific service for their subset of employee population having experience. What's amazing about our model is that because of that underwriting, I guess, we're able to give away 95% of our programs and services for free to the public at large, to nonprofits, to artists, etc. And so we're currently exploring what it would mean to be.
I think we do 2 events that are paid a year. It's the Art Bus and the Storefronts Conference.
Yeah, I was going to say, so it's really cool that you guys treat everything like an experiment, and if you fail, you don't mind. But how do you sell that through to clients that are paying you guys for it?
We set it up like that. I mean, that's a specific conversation we have to have. This might not work, but what's not working? Doing nothing. Being reactive about talent attraction instead of proactive is what we're all doing right now. So if we do nothing, it's just going to be more of the same. If we don't try something, we're not going to ever get there. So that's how we.
Are they receptive to that?
Most of them, yeah. I mean, it's taken a long time to get here, and we still have a lot of people that are, pushing away, but it's slowly creeping in. As you see, a lot of the people in this room, everybody wants to be like the Google company and that corporate culture and how that works. As you see people's wanting to be like someone else, that's kind of where you'll get someone that wants to take a risk.
Right. So most of the stuff you've talked about are the kind of the public experiences that you do. Are you at liberty to give examples of like ones that we wouldn't have had seen or had access to, like one of those company ones or things like that?
Well, I would say a majority, or 90-some% of what we do is going to be, how do we connect your people to community? So how do we do these experiences so you can be a part of community? So something like the night market will build a VIP experience for the people to be team building within a program we're already doing. So that's a lot of what we do. Anything that comes to mind?
Associated Bank
Okay.
has an employee resource group that was struggling to set up their own programs. And so part of what we've sent to them is what you just said, is integration into an existing public program. But we were actually in this exact space with them. We coordinated a lunch and learn series just for their employees. They got to have their lunch with the mayor, and we'll hear a private city address, or we were here learning about work.
I mean, first, like the neighborhood of Havenwoods, which is on the north side where Brady Corp is, Direct Supply is, we built this plan for them where we took them on an experience of really of their own neighborhood, which a lot of people haven't. We aligned all the businesses in the area with the community organizers, with residents, and talked about how we're going to move this neighborhood forward and what are some of the plans that come out. Private facing, but a lot of it. So it really just, what we want to do is we like to move people around a lot because being stationary is being complacent a lot, and we think people will learn from actually being inside these buildings, moving and talking to each other, because you create different opportunities for conversation.
Can you briefly explain again how you make money at this?
So it's either a company wants us to attract talent for them, so we'll build an experience around attracting talent to their company. I mean, one of the things, I'll give you an example. So right now we're working on a project called The Launch. How do you launch your career? Some of the companies that we're working with want to have a different experience than a job fair. So we're creating a private boat experience for entry-level employees that want to get into a company. We'll pre-qualify them with 4 employers, and it'll be a networking event on a boat or at the Pamps Mansion or somewhere around the city that connects people to a cultural asset, but all about launching your career in no resume. It's a different kind of social environment. So we would get paid to do that. We just had a discussion last night with Northwestern Mutual that wants to do something nationwide with all their different all the different offices in every city. How can we create a large national program that connects all of them and then back to their corporate office when they come back for their annual meeting? So we would get commissioned as a consultant really to work on that project. Sometimes, like Associated Bank pays us an annual retainer to engage their employees and do programming for them every month. Sometimes the state commissions us to work with other cities on talent attraction and procedures to walk through this 10-step engagement plan. So it's through commissions. I mean, the basic things is either sometimes people want to connect to the consumer brand, so they want to connect and sell their goods or wares. 2, they want to be known as an employee, a workplace destination, as a great place to work. Or 3, they want to engage their employees and build better corporate culture.
So you seem pretty confident when you exchange or let the business know or the purchaser know that you may fail. And so what's the percentage of your success and failures? And then can you give us some examples of the failures?
Geez, what are some of the biggest failures? I mean, I would say right now it's about, I'd say 90-10 not failing. At the beginning, it was a lot of failures. What's a specific example of something? We did something for Northwestern Mutual actually that completely bombed. We wanted to have a community. I mean, and in one way it didn't bomb. We wanted to have a community conversation about what the parking structure could be. What is it called? O'Donnell parking lot. So we held a lot of community conversations, did a lot of data, and with the hopes that all this information could go back to Northwestern Mutual, they could purchase it and then, you know, preserve it and build a better space. Well, we offset, right? The county government, or the county supervisors won, and they voted it down, and, you know, we still work with Northwestern Mutual. But it was, if you don't try something different, you're gonna be complacent doing the same.
So where do you see Milwaukee 10 years from now?
You know, I never like answering that question because we get involved in so many different initiatives. I think when we start planning out 10 years, that our industry changes every year. It's hard to plan out 10 years, but one of the things we do I think we've been asked a lot lately to go to other cities and help with this. So, I mean, I could see us expanding a lot in that regard. It's more consultative programming, but, you know, with staying here, building the experiences here, but more advisory roles of how you would build this experience. And like, I mean, St. Louis, for example, wants to build a night market, so we would go down there and do some contracted work.
Is your company name limiting you right now?
Our company name is actually Clever Sauce Creative. Milwaukee's just a brand identity for the city.
What is it?
Clever Sauce Creative. So the Milwaukee's just a brand we built in Milwaukee.
Now that you've done several of these experiences with community-based, is there an underlying theme that keeps surfacing that works, and then a theme that doesn't work and kind of keeps going up?
What works is, I guess, the holy trinity of all programming is going to be, you know, anything with arts, food, arts, food, and culture. Like anything around that always works. What doesn't always work is the city. I mean, we always talk about how segregated the city is. Getting people to other neighborhoods beyond the neighborhoods they already go to is very difficult. That doesn't always work for us. We try a lot. We did a cyclovia on Cesar Chavez Drive. It's part of an initiative we worked on them called the Farm Project. This is the first kind of thing we did besides helping with the Cesar Chavez statue that's held by El Rey. Is how do we build a program in this area and will people come to it that are not just from the neighborhood? Because we want everybody to experience every neighborhood so we can get a more integrated city. So that doesn't always work. So that's probably our biggest challenge right now is how do we create more programs that will move people around the city that aren't, you know, our bus tours are one of the ways we do a lot of that. We do neighborhood tours all the time, and, you know, 40 people come on a bus, but it's not 300 or 1,000 people that could come to an experience. So that is probably the biggest challenge right now. The night market's a good example of a really diverse event where everybody kind of comes together, but I think it works because Wisconsin Avenue is everybody's place, but it's no one's place. Everybody feels comfortable there.
Do you have to, for your clients, prepare a budget, or do you just get an open account to try to hold these things?
No open accounts. We have to prepare budgets for everything we do.
That's got to be a big job. You don't really know what else is going to happen.
You don't. Yeah, that's a definite challenge. We over budget. We generally, that's probably one of the most difficult things we do is budget out our scope of work. I think we under budget ourselves sometimes, and if we get hurt by that, or we over budget and someone says no. So it's tough to budget out. I mean, there can be so much failure and change when you're dealing with people and place, and you know, it's really hard to know what's going to, if 100 people don't buy tickets to something like our storefronts conference, we're out, you know, $15,000, which loses us money or whatever it is, you know, whatever that program is. So it's really hard to know that. Did you have a question, or are you just stretching? Okay.
So we always ask one question, and that would be, is there anything the Million Cups community can do for Newaukee?
I think well, one of the things the Million Cups community can do was, I say our biggest competitor is the couch, is to get off your couch and explore your city and be a tourist in your own city. And show up to these programs like Million Cups, and show up to some of our experiences, and tell us how you can help out, and tell us what we could change to be, you know, make this better. Like I said, we're not afraid of failure or being wrong. This is we're all in this together. We're all in this city. The reason I live in this city is because, you know, the city is unfinished to me. It's not Chicago. It's not San Francisco. They already have their story. We're creating our story right now. Let's work together to do that. So, thank you.